Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I see some of you have dropped in early, so we will wait for another 5 minutes before we start. So good afternoon, everyone. It's now 3 o'clock. Welcome back to the Malaysian Water Association and Malaysia International Water Convention webinar series. Today is our 7th webinar in the series. Do you enjoy virtual meetings or do you miss face-to-face conferences and meetings? Tell us what you think on the chat box. For me, I prefer on-site events so I can get to know our participants better and build closer and deeper relationships. But at this moment, we don't have a choice. So today, I hope everyone here has brought with you refreshed and renewed energy for what's to come. And we are very happy to have with us today Mr. Dylan Fernandez from Oracle Utilities, and he's joining us from Australia. And Dylan will be presenting on rethinking customer operations for water utility. Dylan has worked in the utility industry for 30 years. He was working with an utility retail company in Victoria, Australia, for 13 years and has been with Oracle for the last 17 years. And he has brought with him vast experience with implementation of solutions for utility companies in Australia. In his current role, he has been traveling and sharing his experiences and consultations with utility companies throughout the Asia Pacific region. Thank you, Dylan, for spending time to prepare for us today, this session, and to share with our MWA members and friends from the water industry on rethinking customer operations for water utility. So as usual, some survey questions will pop up on your screens, and we hope everyone will participate in the poll by answering these questions later on. And if you have questions for our speaker, remember the Q&A icon is at the bottom of your screen. So click on that icon so you can key in the question that you want to ask. Our speaker will address the Q&A at the end of the session. And our webinar is available on YouTube, so later on we will announce the details. So now I see that we have quite a number of people, but I expect more will be dropping by. However, we're going to start on time. So without further ado, we have Dato Engineer Abdul Kadir bin Muhammad Din, President of the Malaysian Water Association, here with us today. So let's welcome Dato Kadir to say a few words and to kick off this session. And we have Dato Kadir to address us. Dato, your sound, can you unmute? Dato, you need to unmute.
Okay, I am here already. Okay, done.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Welcome, everyone. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for attending today's MWA organized webinar series. This is not one of the series. We have many series, and this is the 7th series in a row. So we have every week different topic that is of related to the water industry, and I find that today's topic is very interesting towards the IT or IoT for the future. So we are lucky today. We have this Mr. Dylan Fernandez, vast experience. Personally, when I was in RWK, we did use Oracle, and I believe RWK still use Oracle. And the topic today, entitled Rethinking Customer Operation for Water Utilities, is quite timely, in line with the government vision to transform our water sector from cost center to be the profit center. So things are different now. So we are looking at different ways of doing things, and especially with the pandemic of COVID in place, we have the new normal, and this also come quite timely. So if you look at the previous topics, this topic is a bit different in terms of really looking at how you use some IT stuff in the operation of water utility. So unlike other products that customer normally can touch or feel when they buy an item, if you go to groceries, you go to whatever shops, you can touch and feel, and you can evaluate. But utility is a bit different because most customers barely notice until you receive your bill. And when you receive your bill, if everything goes right, fine. But if it goes wrong, then you start looking at what went wrong. Especially when the meter reading is off, or the price has gone up high. Especially what happened recently during COVID, the price of water and also in general utilities has gone up very high. What is the rationale? So at that point, anyone will start picking up the phone to try and fix the problem and to find out what went wrong. So more than often in the past, I believe at present also, you still have the problem of being pushed around, being made to wait for a long time, for more than an hour or so, with the phone still ringing on with no progress. The customer also become very frustrated than before. So this is the yesteryear system to me. And as we progress into the future of the 21st century, the customer expectation are always changing and evolving. The customer become more educated. They're not just wait, they will just call, and they're quite active and not reactive anymore. So starting from the water reform in 2008, all water companies in Malaysia are required as part of their business plan submission to the regulators PAN is for them to focus more efforts in building customer-centric culture and driving customer experience improvements. The intention is for water utilities, very much like their sister utilities in telecommunication and energy sectors, to adopt multiple strategies that enable a seamless customer experience with regard to the services rendered. But let's be honest, the water utility industry as a whole has not been keeping up with providing an exceptional customer experience, but the industry can no longer afford to relegate the customer experience to the back of the shelf. So with more and more retailers developing innovative solutions to exceed customer expectation, water utilities companies need to start stepping up. We hope this afternoon presentation will provide more information on this and the experience by Mr. Dylan that he will share with us on the journey of the 30 years experience, and you can see the improvements from year to year. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a brief look why customer experience is important in the utilities industry. We believe growing your business shouldn't come from the expense of customer experience. We need to find a way to give customers the experience they expect, the fair prices, accurate billing, supportive customer service to break the cycle of complaints and dissatisfaction. To the customer, they always look at the value. If you provide the value of quantity and quality, the rest a bit easy. It's just a matter of how you charge them. So this must be transparent, and what they pay for, they want to see the return. So here are some key areas that we thought that utility companies need to focus on to improve the customer experience. I just share you 3 areas. One is cost versus service. So in the past, the costs associated with improving the customer experience were a considerable deterrent to constructive change. However, this is no longer an excuse. There are multiple options to cover the associated costs of both technology and implementation. As you can see, with transformation of the water industry that's been happening in Malaysia, you can see some changes, but we expect more, but that will come with costs. Next is the product development. Utility companies need to develop products that are geared more towards what customer wants and need. They need to listen to customer feedback and surveys and use them to generate more options for customer-friendly products. In addition, utilities leaders need to be willing to stay informed of industry trends and to innovate. In that sense, there must be a form of communication, continuous education with customers to keep them informed of the latest development in the water industry so that they are aware, because one important area is awareness and also education. Last, the customer culture. Utility companies can do better developing a customer culture which focuses on interpersonal and problem resolution skills. There are 2 areas which are consistently weak in their service. Traditionally, all the focus has been on getting things done as opposed to also providing a customer-centric experience. So let's think about it. How would you feel if you were treated as a task rather than a valued customer? More than often, we forgot the customer pays and the customer is always right. That's what the saying goes. Now, here are a few ways that utility companies can increase customer satisfaction and get one up on competition among and between the different utilities. One, offer online bill payments and paperless billing. Then to add on, not only online billing payments, they can also manage your consumption And this system will allow you to know how much you use and how you calculate. So on a daily basis, and alert you if any what you call excess of usage or excess of payment. There may be something wrong with your system because it may be related to the leakages that you have in your house. Second, ask for customer feedback. This is another important area because you got to go for this customer satisfaction survey. Then you learn the needs of the customer and the expectation, especially from the services. 3, use customer reminder services for scheduled technician visit. This is utmost important because you only see the water utilities once in a month by looking at the bills, but it's no physical visitation, no any advices given or usage or management of your water usage in consumption in your house. Last is provide customer with information on how to save money. This is very important because we are looking at circular economy and how this customer become part of your scheme as a shareholder to develop the business. Hence, customer engagement with the aid of technology is one important aspect water utilities need to build on. We lay out here a few examples of the types of engagement and using messages to send reminders to customer, and these include notice on upcoming invoices, info on changes to services and price increases, sharing news and new features on your website or in your app, and also industry news that affect customer and on useful tips on how customer can save on their next bill. Customer need to know on every increase. Much of the information that you shared will allow customer to evaluate and also appreciate the work done or services given and the difficulty that the water utility face, especially when there's an increase in the bill. More than often, none of the customer, I would say, is aware that whenever there is an increase in energy costs, the water bill should have increased, but they remain the same. And this is the one that the government also have to look at as a pass-through cost, because whenever this needs to be synchronized. Combine this message that can help create a positive customer experience so that even when you make mistake, like calculating a meter reading wrong, customer will be more forgiving. But with the hope that smart meter will be in place, this will be eliminated or minimized. Ladies and gentlemen, the water industry is changing and water utilities are looking on how better they can serve their customers. Water utilities are looking to become more customer focused and require applications that are reliable and agile to accommodate crises like COVID-19, for example. I believe this afternoon, the presentation by Oracle Utilities will provide us more of the tools and technology that are available today to enable water utilities and consultants build a seamless customer experience. I hope the water utilities attend this talk, or else they will look at our Facebook to look at the recording of this seminar and will take steps to prioritize their needs in light of recent world events to see how they can work more efficiently without increasing their costs. Finally, I take this opportunity to thank Oracle Utilities for coming forward to share the experience this afternoon, and also to Proton Group for hosting this webinar. MWA hopes this collaboration today will assist water utilities and their consultants in making the customer experience transformation top priority for 2020 for the betterment of water industry. Last but not least, stay safe and enjoy the webinar today. Thank you.
So next, I will call upon Dylan. Dylan, are you ready? You can start your presentation. So everybody, you can clap.
Yes.
Welcome, Dylan. Thank you.
Oh, good morning, everyone. Can everyone see my PowerPoint presentation? Everyone can hear me correct? Okay. So as Data was saying, what we want to do today is just to go through a presentation of, obviously rethinking the custom operations for the water utility, and as has been said before, this is actually just our standard safe harbor statement for information purposes only.
Dylan, sorry, I need to interrupt you. Dylan, your PowerPoint is not turned on yet.
Oh, it's not turned on? Okay.
Okay, we can see you, but you need to
You
share
can see
screen.
the,
We need you to share screen.
okay. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. So as has been introduced before, I've been in the utility industry for the last 30, and I just clicked over to the last 31 years. And I was fortunate enough to actually work for a utility company here in Melbourne, Australia, for the first 13 years. And when I first started, they were just starting to go through a whole transformation project. And, the industry was changing back then as well. And, over the last 30 odd years, the industry has changed a lot, and it still is evolving, as we're going through. But I wanted to first start off at I suppose at a high level, and and just hear us just some of the industry challenges facing the water industry, which you might relate to from your own experiences today. In regards to customer experiences, as Dato has just said before, the customer demands and expectations are a lot higher, than what they have been in previous years. As advancement in technology, has driven significant change in the way water utilities and also customers interact with each other. From a infrastructure point of view, and I've seen this, and spoken to, other water utilities in the Southeast Asia region as well. There's an aging infrastructure. Water utilities, will need to invest in upgrading or replacing aging pipes and treatment storage facilities. The success of this will also be determined by how well water utilities communicate with customers while trying to minimize service interruptions and quality issues, but also, having a balancing act between, keeping customers happy, but also making the necessary updates that need to be made. From a conservation and sustainability perspective, what measures are water utilities putting in place, relating to conservation programs and sustainability, so that their customers will have clean and an abundance of water for generations to come. We've seen that here in Australia, where utility companies are, or the water utility company itself has, looked at different conservation programs to actually incentivize, customers themselves for, reducing their water supply by having energy efficiency water shower screen heads and stuff like that. So, those type of things are what our water utility has been trying to do to make people more aware of, reducing the water consumption, so enabling it to, to last longer, especially during some of the drought periods that we've had here as well. And I'm sure those are some of the things that you're looking at and trying to preserve over there as well. From a business transformation project, water utilities are now starting to look at how they can remove some of the complexities, which has grown for many years. Being able to work smarter and take advantage of digital technology, whether that's been through for example, customer engagement, which is educating customers on water use and service, predictive analytics, whether that's asset failure predictions, etc. So these are the type of things that, that water utilities are trying to do from a transformation side of things as well. And also there's, in regards to the workforce itself, gone are the days, I suppose, that the workforce would be working 9 to 5 every day. The utility has to be available to customers 24/7 to meet their needs. Now, for some of you, this may look very familiar. You may have, an architecture which is complex and old, which is unable to take advantage of new network infrastructures. We've spoken to some water utilities in Southeast Asia where they have said they started many years ago with their customer billing application, and over the years it has been heavily customized to accommodate new features. or they needed to create bolt-on applications to provide them with the new capabilities required. So their existing solution wasn't able to handle the new capabilities that the water utility wanted to integrate implement. So they've included additional applications, and it means that now for users, they have to look at more than one solution, more than one application to actually service those customers as well. This has resulted in many more applications for the IT department to manage and possibly integrate as well, if possible, and also potentially susceptible to security breaches because of the additional applications being managed. For some water utilities, manual workarounds have been put in place as their customer billing application cannot be updated with new functionality. It has also led to users having to look at multiple applications, as I said before, to get the necessary information to handle the customer's inquiries. So again, lengthy wait times, potentially customers not being serviced correctly, waiting to maybe needing to be called back, customers being referred to other departments. It's all led to a poor customer service because the information is not readily available to their users. So for some water utilities, trying to reduce the complexity is a real focus of theirs, and looking for solutions that can help to achieve this. If we now drill down to a little bit further in from a customer perspective and looking at, say, from a call center side of things, these could be some of the questions you're trying to answer regarding improving the customer service you provide. How can we reduce the number of systems a user accesses on a daily basis? And this comes back to the previous point regarding complex architecture and water utilities bolting on applications when needed. How can users or frontline customer service representatives have a 360-degree view of the customer, which will help them to be the one-stop shop when a customer calls or comes into the office to get the inquiry answered? So it enabled the customer's inquiry to be dealt with correctly the first time without them being referred to another department. Or the CSR, as a shortened for the customer service rep, taking their phone number and having to call them back at a later time or date. Some departments within the water utilities are also working in silos. So the information is not being passed between the departments within the utility itself. And so meaning that the data is not readily available. How can we provide these departments with access to the data they need when it is required? And how can we communicate better with customers, which provides them with information that is relevant, not just generic information, but specific information to customers based on how they use their usage, and the information that's recorded against those customers within the solution itself. And how can we provide customers with access to their billing information without them having to actually call the call center? So a customer can go onto a web portal and access their information 24/7, regardless of whatever time that they want to. If they are working on shift work, etc., they have access easily to the information based on their logins of their actual water usage that are there. So all of these are really just trying to see how can the utility reduce some of those complexities and challenges in servicing these customers a lot better. We will look at what other water utilities are starting to do, following in the footsteps really of where the electricity and the gas industries are actually going as well. So, they're the electricity and gas industries are probably a little bit further, advanced in how they're servicing customers, but the water industry is slowly trying to catch up. So if you look at, and as Dato said, there's been an evolution really, in the customer relationship, and why water utilities are trying to answer these questions posed before, because as I said earlier, customer expectations of their water utility have increased considerably. The relationship between the customer and the utility has been evolving over many years. And as customer demands have increased and introduction of new capabilities being available. So if we look at when I first started in the utility industry, the customer relationship was purely transactional. Basically, we sent bills, we collected payments, and we resolved inquiries. And when I say we resolved inquiries, we used to do it at our own pace and when we got to it. The relationship then has moved into being more, customer centric. The utility having more of a 360-degree view of the customer in one solution and being that one-stop shop when a customer interacted with the utility. CSRs were equipped to handle the inquiries, being more customer friendly and providing care to its customers, interacting with them through, either post an email and having the ability for customers to engage with their utilities either by phone or in person as well. At this point in time, I suppose service levels within the call center became important in answering a percentage of the calls within a specified time frame, but also having a balance between answering calls on time and providing exceptional customer service so the customer went away feeling satisfied. It's then evolved into more of a customer experience. How can utilities be able to provide, value-added services, in the water industry as well? We've seen some of our water utilities here by providing, services like plumbing services, by providing home energy efficient water appliances that they can, that the customer can actually buy through the actual water utility as well. This was on top of the core activity of providing water service to their customers. Some water utilities have started to use omni-channel capabilities, thus providing a seamless experience for the customer regardless of the channel or device being used. Then into a customer engagement, where utilities are able to provide targeted customer insights to their customers based on their consumption and information recorded for that customer as well. Through the introduction of machine learning, being able to provide customers and users with the next best action that can be taken. And finally, we've seen the progression into more of a trusted partner, where the utility and the customer are working together. Utility is seen as an innovative and being proactive to customer needs. This has been the customer evolution to date, and I'm sure it will keep on evolving over time as customer expectations keep on changing and new technologies become available that the water industry can take advantage of. So, based on some of the statistics that we've been able to see as well, this is evident in some of the customer expectations that we now see. 92% of consumers would like to have a personalized customer experience. 89% of consumers expect a consistent customer experience across all channels when they communicate with us. 76% of consumers are interested in receiving digital notifications for relevant new products and services. The recent event over the past 4 months with COVID-19 has also forced water utilities to look at other ways they need to engage with their customers, as having face-to-face interactions has not been possible. It has also forced some customers who have never wanted to be digital customers in the past to learn and become more one of them. And one of those generations has been the elderly generation. For example, I speak of my parents. My parents are in their late 70s and early 80s. They love having that human interaction face-to-face or on the phone for whatever they want to do, whether that's with their utility company, whether that's with their banking, that's what they like to do. Being part of the most vulnerable age group for COVID-19, they have been forced to stay at home and required to sign up and interact with their utility companies online, because trying to get in touch with them on the phone has taken even longer than required because of what's been going on over the last 4 months. Now, I suppose the funny thing that I can see, on the funny side that I see to this, is that I've been telling my parents, for many years, that it's quicker and easier to interact with their utility online than waiting on the phone to speak to someone. My parents had a water leak 2 months ago, and they interacted with their water utility online and had the best customer experience possible. No delays, and in regards to actually contacting their utility, and their issue was attended promptly and within a reasonable time. Based on that experience that they had with their water utility, they now use online for all their experiences, and they love it. They now, fortunately or unfortunately, their expectations have actually increased even more as well, because they're expecting the same or a higher level of service by whichever means that they interact with, whether that's the utility or whether that's banking, etc. So again, you are going to be having more and more of these customers that are looking to engage with you through other channels, apart from just being at the counter or on the phone. So as I said before, the utility industry is changing, and so is the water component of that as well. If I get to attend a lot of water utility events, in Southeast Asia over many years now. And I remember attending an event about 5 or 6 years ago. I think it might have been in Malaysia or Thailand, and there was no or very little interest in smart meters by water utilities at that time. If we fast forward to 12 months to 15 months later, the interest from water utilities in smart meters had increased 100%. It didn't mean that water utilities were implementing smart meters, but wanted to become more educated on them and the benefits that they will gain. At the moment in 2020, there are around 1.1 billion smart meters implemented globally, which approximately 16 million are water smart meters. So it's a very small percentage that's actually related to the water. It's envisaged by 2026 that there will be around 400 water smart meters globally, which is a huge increase in the water industry. Evolving, mobile technologies is also changing how people can be connected and data is relayed to customers. As we have spoken about this before, digitization is transforming businesses and their needs. And these are some of the benefits, and I understand that, in Southeast Asia, there's also a push for, implementing AMI smart meters as well, which also has a direct, implication on your customer solution as well. So, the AMI meters, which is basically the two-way communication between, the water utility and the actual, the meter itself, can bring about operational, financial and customer benefits to the water utility itself. Some of the operational benefits is that AMI helps water utilities prepare for future challenges, such as managing assets in real time for more timely maintenance, and reveal more insights from data that can help the business. The ability to improve leak detection and monitor and maintain assets also increases reliability, enabling the water utility to be more proactive in their asset maintenance instead of being reactive when the issue actually occurs. From a financial perspective, AMI helps protect revenue by improving bill accuracy, detecting theft and leakage. For bill accuracy, this enables the water utility to be proactive and fix issues when the meter fix the meter before the customer actually, potentially will get their bill, which will reduce any follow-up activities with the customer when the bill is actually issued. By having a solution that can receive information regardless of theft and leakage, this will provide the water utility with automated actions based on their business requirements. AMI meters help reduce costs by automating customer start-stop, transfers. So move-ins and move-outs can also be eliminated. The truck rolls can also be eliminated, through start and stop, because it's all done automatically through the AMI technology as well. So again, reducing some of those costs. From a customer perspective, AMI can enable more timely and communication to customers on quality, leaks, or even droughts, as well as offering rate structures to help conserve water. Enhancing the communication that the water utility is able to provide to its customers being more personalized, which is reflective of the customer's usage patterns. So, so the water utility is then able to provide specific, communications based on what the customer has used and information that's recorded within the actual solution itself. But these benefits cannot be realized with just AMI meters alone. Water utilities need the data and the communications platform to make this happen. This is where the capabilities of a modern customer solution come into play. As a result of customer solutions adapting over time and moving to a more agile perspective, the customer solutions need to be reliable to handle the day-to-day activities that the water utilities do. But the solutions need to now be agile and flexible to help water utilities as and when new requirements are needed to be implemented. In the past, this might have been done through customization, of their existing application, or through adding on another application just as a bolt-on to, satisfy those needs. But there's a strong need now for this to be done through core functionality and configuration. By having a more configurable solution, it reduces the additional customization costs that might have had to be done by the vendor or by a system integrator in the past, to now be updated and maintained by the business, providing the water utility with more ownership of the application when future requirements are needed to be incorporated. Solutions that are agile to help water utilities when unexpected events occur, like COVID-19, are extremely appealing as well. So these are really what we're seeing as the core capabilities of a modern solution. Being able to register and track the life cycle of any type of devices that are there, whether they're water meters, whether they're the add-ons of the communications for those water meters as well, to actually track that life cycle from when it first comes in to when it potentially gets retired. And also all of the things in between that as well, of when potentially it gets serviced, etc. Anything that's happening with that particular device. Now, this also can be part of potentially an asset management solution, but having this sometimes some of the water utilities don't have a very good asset management solution. So having these capabilities within the core customer solution is an advantage as well. As we talked about before, being able to integrate with, AMI technology or AMR technology, which is one-way communication. So having the ability to interact with those meters in real time, but also with Internet of Things and those type of devices, having the ability to communicate with those is definitely an advantage that, water utilities are looking for as well. This also enables you to receive all of your, meter data, whether that's for AMI or smart meters, and also potentially if you've still got scalar meters there as well, or manually read meters, the ability to receive all that in one place. Service order management is the ability to, manage the life cycle of field work that's been created. So, to track whether, where actually the field work is at any point in time is definitely an advantage that, that utilities are actually using, and water utilities, from that perspective as well. So whether that be for a manually read meter, if it goes out to the field, or whether that be for a start or on-demand, read or an on-demand connection that goes out to the AMI meter, to have all of that, all of the capability and the whereabouts that particular service order is key to actually being able to then communicate that with customers if they're trying to find out, what's happening with their connection, for example. And then there's the metadata as well. So, the solution now has to be capable of handling both scalar metadata that's coming in, but also smart metadata that's coming in. So whether that be for 15-minute intervals, 30-minute intervals, 60-minute intervals, for example, that data, basically have like a repository type of system where all of that data can be managed, processed, and then used by the billing area for bills to be created on the customer's behalf. So from a customer care perspective, really managing the customer details, whether that be their IDs and phone numbers, whether that be financial data as well, premise information, all of that data residing in one place that a customer service representative can use to handle inquiries. The flexibility to look at from a customer program point of view, devise type of initiatives that potentially the water utility would like to target their customers for. So as I said before, looking in the residential area, for energy efficiency shower heads. So looking for customers that might use X amount of water or excess over a certain threshold that are residential that might be eligible for this type of initiative. So targeting customers for specific things, or even just if it's just for a survey to actually find out from the customers how well the water utilities are actually servicing them. The solution needs to have a configurable rating engine. So some of the water utilities rates aren't that complicated, and from a utility perspective, the rating engine has to be, it's the heart and soul of what the solution actually is. So to have a rating engine that's configurable enables you to accommodate your existing rates, but also in the future, if you do get more complicated with your rates as well, is to actually utilize the configuration capability to update those, to create new rates within the solution. And then based on the rates that are configured there, to generate bills. So we know the billing of that, you want to make sure that the bills go out on time, bills are accurate, etc. And as Data was saying before, you don't want customers ringing in, based on incorrect billing, based on the charges that have been incorrectly calculated, etc. So all of that information needs to be billed correctly so that customers get their bills on time and accurately as well. And then there's the credit collection capabilities. So again, having configurable credit collection processes that the utilities can take advantage of. So to handle whether that's be for their for their smooth type customers that are actually paying on time, but also to look at credit collection processes that they might want to actually incorporate for those customers that don't pay on time as well. So having that flexibility to create credit collection processes depending on the different types of customers that are there. We've seen, due to COVID-19, that water utilities are actually been looking at how they can, stop some of their credit collection processes. So having a solution that's flexible and agile enough to enable them to look at some of these things is very, very important. Cashiering is still a capability that's required in specifically more Southeast Asia, because you still have that interaction with customers over the counter. So enabling you to take those payments, but those payments being processed in real time so that anyone else looking at those payments within the solution can actually see that the customer's paid it, then and there. And then finally, from an archiving perspective, so this is more long-term as well, being able to then determine how you want to archive data and determining which information needs to be archived over a given period of time. And this comes back to, again, the advancement in databases as well, being able to partition the database so that you can actually then determine which is active data, less active, etc. So again, these are really the core capabilities that that water utilities are looking for from a customer solution. So if we look then, a little bit further down the track as well, that the core platform, which can be easily integrated with and which has a simplified data management capabilities. Some or all of these capabilities on the previous slide be taken advantage of by water utility if and when needed. We're now seeing, water utilities looking to move to a cloud environment, because they're looking to move some of their costs, their ongoing maintenance costs, from having an on-premise solution to now being part of, moving it to the cloud. So whether that be for a complete service as a solution, software as a solution offering with SaaS, they're able to have their solution kept up to date on a regular basis with new functionality, and they can then have their users focus on their day-to-day activities of servicing their customers. So again, having the cloud capability enables them to have a lot more flexibility in focusing specifically on what they need to do on a day-to-day basis. For some water utilities in Southeast Asia, they may not be ready to go to cloud yet. So looking at solutions that have a clear path, which enables them to implement an on-premise solution now, for example, but with the capability to move to cloud at a later date when the water utility deems it a requirement, is also an important factor when looking for new customer solutions. By having this clear path from on-premise to cloud, provides the water utility with the flexibility when it will be required at a future date. The customer platform that can provide users with an intuitive and easy user experience is also important so that water utilities can get their users up to speed on the new solution quickly, enabling the users to service their customers in a timely and efficient manner as well. Solutions that also provide embedded analytics can provide water utilities with valuable information on how the business is operating on a daily basis, but can also feed back into the business processes for actions to be taken if needed as well. So if we now look, one step further and look at what utilities are doing to provide valuable insights for their customers, so to engage with their customers better as well. As we know, every customer is not going to interact with the water utility every day of the year. So making that engagement with the customer an important event when it matters will make it all the more difference as to how that customer perceives their water utility itself. For example, providing them with valuable information through a customer portal so that the customer does not need to get in touch on the phone or in person, reduces the costs in servicing those customers. Customers can obtain information that is reliable and specific to them when they need it. A modern customer solution can be complemented with other tools as well that take advantage, that take that customer engagement to that next level again. And the result is advantageous for the customer, but also for the users within the water utility itself that service these customers on a daily basis. For example, having a chatbot that can help the customer with questions that need to be answered, and only if needed, transfer the customer to a customer service representative if the customer wants to speak to someone specifically. By having the chatbot, it can reduce the number of calls coming through to the CSRs. Chatbots are then able to keep on learning so that they can keep refining the responses given back to customers as well. So there's also that machine learning within the chatbot itself to enable them to refine how they can interact with customers better based on the information that's been provided to them over time. Embedded modern technology for process automation and machine learning to guide next best actions, exceptionalist billing, etc., is also a key thing that utilities and in the water industry is looking at as well. Another example is having a knowledge management application, where users can take advantage of that to actually find out about information they can then say to actual customers itself, or customers through the actual portal itself can use the knowledge management to actually find out about questions that they're asking as well. Again, trying to reduce the contact potentially that the customers need to have with the actual water utility itself, because they're able to find this information through other means. But by providing easily accessible agent tools, the CSRs will be able to service the water utility customers better and provide relevant information when it is needed. For the water utility itself, it's about providing the best customer experience possible when that customer interacts with them. Water utilities can take advantage of these tools, which can complement the core customer billing solution available in the market. So these are really the 3 steps to a digital customer experience. And again, for some of you, you might be some parts of the way along this road. So the first step is actually get going. Empowering your customers with a web portal so that they can actually engage with you online. Having proactive and outbound communications so that you're communicating with your customers about specific things that are important to them. Lead customers to action. So by providing that information, the customers then can determine how best that they can actually utilize that for whatever they need to do. From the next stage is actually getting better. Having a consistent approach across all the channels that potentially that the water utility would like to actually engage their customers with. Providing innovative new ways to actually engage with those customers, whether that's through a mobile app or whether that's through, integrating and communicating through your social channels as well. Reducing some of the silos and, between your departments, and having that knowledge transferred through all of the departments that, potentially will have access to those customers. And then finally, getting ahead, unify all customer and business data. And using, some of the artificial intelligence to drive personalized customer engagements, and, really become a leader, and be proactive in how you actually engage with your customers, in the future as well. And all of this sits on really a modern CIS, platform that's built specifically for utilities. So consumers' personal technology is now so advanced and the user experience so well designed that their expectations on how technology should function are raised as well. They also see the way technology is reshaping other sectors. How easy it is for customers to, to go onto Amazon and interact and, and do purchasing that way as well. So this should all, their expectations is that this should also be the way, when they engage with their water utilities. The customer preference for low effort service interactions is evident. Customers prefer digital channels to phone and want to quickly resolve issues themselves without having to wait or to be on hold. But everything can't be automated and there has to be a balance. That means empowering your customer service reps with correct tools and systems to create low effort customer support interactions. These are the 3, there are 3 more. These are the questions that we've got, in the poll as well. So, if you could answer those, that would be fantastic. So while you're answering those poll questions, these are just some of the case studies that we've had, or we've seen, with other water utilities as well, in your region and also globally as well. One of the ones that's obviously in Malaysia is Selangor. They moved from a heavily customized, billing application to a modern application which would enable them to, mostly all of their requirements they wanted to do through base functionality or through configuration, and they were able to achieve that as well. So, they were able to also have flexibility when COVID-19 came in to actually update how they wanted to interact with those customers as well. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, if I just go back, it's just going a little bit slow. So Yarra Valley Water is another customer based here in Melbourne, Australia, which again went from a heavily customized CIS or billing application to a more modern application as well. They were able to, one of the things they wanted to do was be able to scale for the amount of customers that they had. They were able to, provide more complete answers to queries based on the information that they had within the new solution itself. And they were able to reduce, a lot of the errors and improve customer satisfaction because of an updated system that was able to provide them with information readily at hand to their users when talking to customers. Veolia Water, which is in France, was able to again, roll out a new billing application as well, and they were able to streamline their business processes for the whole meter to cash process. They reduced some of their paper-based processes by automating some of those workflows as well, and definitely reduced some of the ongoing maintenance costs, specifically for their rate and regulatory changes that were there. So, through configuration, they were able to configure those as opposed to having a customized solution that they have to maintain on an ongoing basis. And, looking at what potentially the water utilities are looking to do in the Southeast Asia region as well, they were able to support their effective rollout of smart meters across France as well, using the customer solution that they have. If we look at then, another example, which is in San Jose in America, they implemented a new billing solution, and they had specific savings that they were able to gain. So 400,000 savings a year, based on them being able to reduce some of their response times, for customers as well. They improved on, they increased their meter change productivity by 10 to 15%. And they importantly reduced their the call abandonment rate by 50% on the first day. They also had huge savings in regards to paying back the costs of implementing this particular solution itself, within say 1.75 years. So again, they were able to through a new solution that they implemented, be able to have some cost savings, but also they got their money back within a given period of time. And these are not specifically in the the water industry itself, but there's 3 more examples of customers who were able to implement new customer solutions, and were able to provide or gain efficiencies through that solution itself. So whether that be in the call center, whether that be through more accuracy with their billing itself, and also the ability to potentially make changes to their rating structures a lot more quickly and efficiently, as opposed to when they had the old system running as well. So to end, there are definitely customer solutions out there that can help water utilities take that next step in the evolution of their business and in the evolution of the customers they serve. The point of digitization is simply do more with less, a lot less. As the slide states, imagine what's possible and charge forward. So thank you very much for taking valuable time out of your day to listen to this webcast. I hope that this has provided you with some insights as to what water utilities are looking at from a customer solution perspective, and I'm happy to take questions if there are any. Otherwise, my email address is also below there, that you can definitely get in touch with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dylan. We have one question. Can you see in the Q&A?
Yes. The Q&A. Yeah.
Yeah, so just click on it.
So in Australia, specifically in the electricity and the gas industry, we have smart meters for these customers here. In the water industry, some of our water utilities are now looking at smart meter pilots to look at specific areas within their region where they can actually implement smart meters and actually deploy that and look at the data that's coming back from those as well. And as I said before, the water industry is a little bit behind, the electricity and gas itself when it comes to smart meters, but they're definitely now starting to implement those and looking at solutions that can accommodate, the data that's definitely going to be coming from those smart meters.
Thank you. Any other questions? Dr. Kare?
I have none at the moment.
Okay. We have Dylan's email. Dylan, maybe you want to share your email address for our participants?
Yes. So it's Dylan, DILLON.Fernandez, FERNANDESZ @oracle.com. So
you
more
need
than
to share
happy.
screen. You need to share screen so participants can see your email.
I'm sorry. There it is there.
Okay, so our attendees, this is Dylan's email. So if you have any question, you can contact him direct.
If there's no question, maybe I post one for Dylan.
Yes, go ahead, Dato'.
Okay, in this what I call concept that you put in, roughly, based on your experience that you have had in Malaysia, any of the water companies, what is roughly the savings that you derive from installation of such system? And in terms of investment, what is the return of investment in terms of period of years that you can recover back your investment in such system?
Okay, so if you look at, say, one of the examples that we had there before, they were able to get a return on investment within 1.7 years. So based on the savings that they were able to make, in regards to efficiencies with their business processes, being able to save on some of their rates, configuring of their rates itself. So it does vary between companies. A lot of from the water utility itself, what we've seen in Southeast Asia, the efficiencies that they're able to make is definitely through the ability to have a solution that is capable of, meeting their needs now, but also meeting, flexible enough to meet their needs in the future as well. So, from a cost saving perspective, you're looking at probably, sometimes for some customers, between 20 to 30% in savings over, a fixed period of time.
Okay. But if you look at the total investment cost, let's say for a water utility, how much roughly, just a budgetary price, to change the whole system?
Well, that is a very good question. Depending on the size of the water utility itself, we've seen, some utilities that have been able to do it within, $5 to $10 million as well. And then some, of the larger water utilities have gone, a lot bigger than that as well. So, again, those are the things that that the vendors will be happy to work with you to determine, based on the size and based on what the requirements are, to determine potentially what those costs. And it also comes back to who's going to do those implementations as well. Is there a system integrator that's able to work in that region that can actually help to implement that at a reduced cost as well?
Okay, that's good.
So from a
Dylan,
prepaid, sorry.
Can I raise your attention? We have some questions. Just click on Q&A.
Yes, I've got that here as well. So the question is there a prepaid solution for water? We know that prepaid for electricity is well established, but what about water? So, we have seen that, in India, there's a customer that's actually using, prepaid, in the water industry over there. It's probably not as prevalent, within the water industry itself. More so it is in the electricity industry. But we are seeing that, there are some water utilities looking to use the AMI technology to actually drive some of that capability, because some of the solutions that are out there do have the capability to do prepaid, and that's regardless of whether it is electricity, gas, or water itself. And I suppose the other question that's here is, do you think prepaid water meter is an option? It is an option. It really, you know, again, from you know, there are meter vendors that are definitely looking at you know, having that capability within or having the prepaid using AMI itself, you know, for water itself. So it's really just having the solutions that are capable to handle that prepaid, and there are vendors out there that can actually, you know, can provide that capability if you are looking for that.
Okay, that's one more question.
Oh, so why do you think that Southeast Asia took a longer duration to implement smart meters, and what is it that Southeast Asia lacks? So lacked in getting themselves to be more open to the idea of implementing. I just think that in the Southeast Asia region, they haven't been ready to go to that next step in the smart meter technology. I think they've been waiting or trying to get their, you know, what their understanding of getting their infrastructure right first before they can actually then take the next step to actually potentially putting in smart meters. But over the last, you know, 2 or 3 years, there's been a lot more engagement with utilities regarding smart meters, and we're seeing a lot of smart meters being put in, you know, in India. We're seeing a lot of smart meters now looking at potentially being in, you know, in Thailand as well. So there is that momentum taking place within Southeast Asia, because they're now looking to, you know, replace their old aging infrastructure and their old aging systems as well, and now, you know, come to that next part of the customer evolution, but also from a technology point of view.
Okay, any more questions, attendees? If not, then I will close the session. Okay, Dato, are you there? Do you have anything to add, Dato?
No, not at all. This is a good presentation. So I hope the participant benefits, and those pass around to look at our Facebook and to see the recording of this. Then, of course, can contact Dylan for further information, especially on the transformation of the digitalization of this manual system that we are facing now, and how to synchronize or standardize the system throughout the whole nation. Thank you to Dylan.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Dato' Kare and the Malaysian Water Association for hosting today's webinar. And thank you to our attendees for joining us today. Many of you I know are regular supporters of this initiative of MWA. So thank you for following us. And there are some very interesting presentations coming up in the weeks ahead, so do stay tuned. And next Tuesday, this is going to be our topic, Track COVID-19 through Sewage Monitoring, presented by Dr. Tan Eugene from ALS Technichem. So you can read more about this session on our Facebook page. So do follow us on our Facebook page, and that's where you get the links to our YouTube recording of all our webinar sessions. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you again next Tuesday. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Dato.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So see you all. Thank you, Johnny. See you, Johnny. Bye.
Bye.